Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tyler and I just do consistent content on all things relating hockey in the NHL overall. And as we all know, the NHL is finally returning just a couple weeks away. It looks like the qualifying rounds will begin around July 30th and August 1st. And then of course, after those best of 5 series qualifying rounds, we will finally have the first round of NHL playoffs. But now that we know all teams that are incorporated, not just the qualifying round, but playoffs overall, there are 5 teams in particular that stand out to me as ones that no one by any means wants to face square up against in this NHL playoffs, and for a lot of good reasoning. But if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. If you like this kind of hockey content, I'm so close to 200 subscribers, so any type of love would really be appreciated. Trust me, this is only the beginning of a lot of amazing and great things happening on this channel, and I have all you to thank for it thus far. But with that being said, let's get right into it. Starting off with the Boston Bruins, of course. This isn't easy. This is given, right? The Bruins, as we all know, have been a dynamo, I should say, when it comes to an overall team for quite some time now, especially over the past decade. And they've been in the playoffs plenty. They have so much playoff experience. But overall, they are just the big, bad Bruins. That's what I see when I look at the Bruins. I'm sure that's what the rest of the league sees also, and for good reason. When you look at how they did this year, they, of course, won their division in the Atlantic, and they were 11th in offense with 3.24 goals per game, and they were first in defense with 2.49 goals allowed per game, so strong numbers there. And then when you get to, of course, their goal scorers and their best players overall, you have to look no further than David Pastrnak. The young Czech forward has been amazing this year with 48 goals, tied for the league lead alongside Alexander Ovechkin, and Pasta probably would have had the goal scoring lead for the season, I should say, if the season was never put on pause. But yeah, 95 total points. Then Brad Marchand, who, regardless if you love him or hate him, he is an amazing player. And how he has progressed over the past 3 or 4 years has been nothing short of remarkable. And I think he doesn't get nearly enough credit he deserves. And yes, I am not a Boston Bruins fan by any means, let alone a Brad Marchand fan. But there is no doubting that he is the perfect type of player that you love to have on your team and the guy you absolutely hate going up against. You know, we all get his antics and stuff like that, but as a genuine player, he is superb. And playing along the likes of Patrice Bergeron and Pastrnak, he is a key contributor to that line's success as the best line in the NHL. And then Patrice Bergeron, of course, one of my favorite players in the league, one of the best and has been one of the best two-way centermen in the game for so long, had 31 goals for 56 total points. And Tuukka Rask having kind of a bounce-back year this season with 26 wins, a goals allowed average of 2.12, and a save percentage of .929. He's really looking like a Vezina favorite by many. I personally think Connor Hellebuyck deserves to win the Vezina, but I'm sure Tuukka Rask is going to be in the consideration for sure. But the Boston Bruins, we all know what happened last year. They went all the way to the Stanley Cup Final and just fell short to the St. Louis Blues. They have a lot of unfinished business, and with a team that can really get it all done right now. They're still in a win-now stage. They have such a balanced roster overall, and that defense is ridiculous between Zdeno Chara, Charlie McAvoy, Torrey Krug, and the list goes on and on. Even Brandon Carlo and Matt Grzelcyk, their defense is really strong. And their offense, their depth isn't nearly as great as maybe some other teams I'm going to talk about for you today, but they still have the likes of David Krejci, Andre Kasha, who I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with the Bruins because we haven't seen anything yet. Jake DeBrusk can turn on at times, and list goes on and on. Overall, this is a fantastic team, and when you go up against them, especially in the playoffs, you know how hard it is to play. And I know that they don't have that home advantage anymore playing in TD Garden, which is definitely an influencer into their play, of course. They are still a team that no one wants to go up against, and I don't blame anyone by any means. Which leaves me with my next team, and that is the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is another given as well. The Penguins, as we all know, for years now have been dominant, and this year especially, what they have been able to overcome, given all the adversities and injuries they have faced, has truly been something special. I've been saying all throughout this past season that the Penguins look like a possible Cup favorite, and for great reasoning. This year, though, even with all the injuries that they faced with not having Jake Gensel for over half the season, Patrick Hornqvist, so many guys on the lineup have been hurt, but on the offense, they were ranked 10th during the season with 3.25 goals per game, and defense, they were 11th with 2.84 goals allowed per game. Really such a well-balanced roster, and Evgeny Malkin stepped up huge for them, with Sidney Crosby being out for quite some time due to injury, but Malkin stepping up, 25 goals, 49 points, 74 overall points, 25 goals and 49 assists, I should say. Really remarkable numbers, really showing that he still has what it takes to be dominant at the NHL level, and he isn't slowing down anytime soon, honestly. Brian Rust, fantastic year for him, career year, stepping up with the likes of Genzel, Hornquist, etc. out of that lineup for extended periods of time. Rust had career highs in goals, assists, and points with a total of 56. Crosby, even playing only just over 40 games, still had 47 points, 16 goals, 31 assists, and we all know what he can do when healthy during the playoffs. And Tristan Jarry is kind of interesting. Jarry, who wasn't originally supposed to be the starter going into the season, really won that spot over Matt Murray shortly through the year, because Murray has definitely went downhill since having a hot start with the Penguins in his career, winning back-to-back Stanley Cups with them, of course. But Murray doesn't look like he was what he was just a couple years ago, honestly. And bringing Jarry in, the other young goaltender that they've had for a bit now, really stepping up, like I said, 2.43 goals allowed average and a save percentage of 921, including 20 wins. Awesome numbers there. It's going to be very interesting to see if Jarry gets the brunt of the work come the qualifying round, or if they go deeper into playoffs, if he will stay that starter, or will Murray get thrown there. If you're a Penguins fan, let me know in the comments below who you think is going to start and who you honestly want to start, because that could be very different than who you honestly think is going to be starting game one against the Montreal Canadiens, of course. But overall, the Penguins, an amazing roster. They're so tough to go up against. They just have such a well-balanced team. We know the kind of mentality that they have. You have Sidney Crosby. You have Evgeny Malkin. You have Jake Genzel, who's a 40-plus goal scorer that is going to be healthy for when the Pens return to play, which is huge for them. That is a crucial weapon that they're getting. And then add in the likes of Jason Zucker, who they acquired the trade deadline, and all these other pieces. They just look like such a dominant team and truly one that no one else wants to go up against for sure. Next now, and this one should be pretty easy too, it is the Colorado Avalanche. Wow, do I love this team. They are so entertaining to watch. The kind of skill level that is on this team when healthy is pretty much unmatched in the NHL, but it's just a matter of being healthy, right? The Avs, as we all know, have dealt with so many injuries this season with all their top-tier players and middle-class. Literally every type of player that they have this year has basically been hurt. So the Avalanche, even with that being said, they still had a fantastic season and were fourth in overall offense with 3.39 goals per game. Sixth in defense with 2.73 goals allowed per game. I love their blue line, led the likes by the rookie phenom himself, Cale Makar, and Ryan Graves, who was originally in the Rangers organization and was traded as a minor league deal a couple years ago, actually led the NHL this year in plus minus. So he's looking like a big body. I believe he's 6'6", big body, stay-at-home / two-way defenseman, and is thriving with the Avalanche in his young career thus far. But McKinnon, who many believe deserves the Hart Trophy, and I don't blame them at all for believing that. He had 35 goals, a total of 93 points. Truly a huge factor into why the Avs are where they are currently today. Cale Makar, 12 goals, 38 assists, 50 points as a defenseman. That's insane. And then Andre Burakovsky, who I've always been a big fan of. Look, I'm a Rangers fan. If you didn't know, I am. And I always have been a Burakovsky fan, even when he was playing with the Washington Capitals. There was always something about his game I liked. I'm so happy he's getting better opportunity with the Avalanche, dealing with given all the injuries that they have dealt with, especially on the wing, and Burakovsky has stepped up greatly with 45 total points. And Pavel Francouz is such a fun story. Goaltender in his mid to late 20s already. He had played in the KHL for a little bit, did very strong there, and given the injuries sustained by Philip Grubauer, Francouz steps up as a late-blooming rookie and does fantastic with 21 wins, a goals allowed average of 2.41, and a save percentage of 923. So another situation, Avs fans, if you're watching this, let me know who you think is going to start game one, assuming everyone's healthy, and who do you want to start. I think that Grubauer is very solid, but Francouz has definitely been playing well, no question, but can he translate that to a mentality like being in the playoffs per se? That is going to be key. But let me know in the comments below who you think is going to start for that series. I mean, just going in playoffs overall. But besides that, the Avalanche have an amazing roster when healthy. You're talking Landeskog, Rantanen, Kadri, Jonas Donskoy, Burakovsky, McKinnon, JT Compher, who's really good as well, who just has bounced all throughout the lineup as a utility guy for them. And they just have so many weapons. It is really insane just how good this roster is. And if I'm any team in the West, the last thing I want to do is go up against them. Next is, of course, the Edmonton Oilers. You knew that when you clicked this video. And it's led by none other than Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Edmonton had a very strong year this year, finally back into, even though it's the qualifying round, basically playoffs, right? And assuming if Edmonton wins that first round, which I think they have a very strong chance of doing, then I assume they will have a very deep playoff run. I think a lot is going to happen with them this year, so be on the lookout. But Edmonton, they were 14th in the AHL in goals per game with 3.17. Defense was 15th with 3.06. goals allowed per game. So very balanced overall. Leon Draisaitl, as we all know, amazing season, the best in the league this year. Points. When it comes to points, of course, had 43 goals, 110 total points. Amazing numbers. Connor McDavid in less than 70 games had 97 points, including 34 goals and 63 assists. And then you have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins looking strong for them as well with 61 total points. And Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith have really been neck and neck with who's going to be starting. I'm very curious who's going to start that qualifying round. So Edmonton Oilers fans, let me know in the comments below who you want to start that first game against the Chicago Blackhawks. But Koskinen here, 18 wins, a goals allowed average of 2.75, and a save percentage of 917. Even though the goaltending isn't spectacular, everything about this roster I truly love. I think from bringing in David Tippett as a new head coach to having Holland as a new GM, I think that's really transformed this team and in such a great way. What they did at the deadline, I love too, getting guys like Tyler Ennis, who is playing great in a bigger role with the Ottawa Senators, of course, and Andreas Athanasiou, who, even though he does have the worst plus-minus in the league, he is a speedster. He can score 20-plus goals and put him on the wing of McDavid, and good things are going to happen. And Kailer Yamamoto finally coming into his own at the NHL level. I'm so excited for what the future holds with him. And that blue line, when healthy, Oscar Klefbom was really leading the way, not just 5-on-5, but on the penalty kill. Ethan Bear was looking good as well. Darnell Nurse solid. And Adam Larson, not terrible by any means, just up and down dealing with injuries. But overall, I love so much about this Edmonton roster, and between McDavid being back in a playoff type mentality, even though it's not technically playoffs, you have to look out. No team in the NHL wants to go up against this Edmonton Oilers team solely because of the fact of Connor McDavid. Then add in all the other factors like Leon Draisaitl and everyone else. And James Neal, I'm not sure if he's going to be healthy, but if he is, that's going to be another piece for them as well, because he was doing well up until his injury. He started off hot, then really fell down a little bit, and then he was injured. But overall, a lot to love with this Edmonton Oilers team, and I fully expect them to make noise come playoff time. And last but not least, drum roll please. Nah, you don't need that. It's the St. Louis Blues, obviously. Who else is it going to be? The St. Louis Blues just won the Stanley Cup. And yes, you may say, oh, they're going to be tired. No, they've had plenty of resting now, given the ongoing pandemic. They've had months to really relax. And I think this is going to benefit them a ton. The Blues, as we all know, won the Cup this past year in dramatic fashion, truly doing a Cinderella-type story, being the worst team halfway through the season, of firing their head coach Mike Yeo and bringing in the likes of Craig Berube, fully turning around and having a run for the ages. And this year has really not skipped a beat. Even with dealing injuries left and right, the Blues at times, without their top goal scorer for sure in Vladimir Tarasenko, they have been lights out regardless. They were 15th in the NHL this season in goals per game with 3.17, and their defense was 5th in the NHL, really strong at 2.72, led the way by their captain, none other, Alexander Pietrangelo. And regardless if he comes back to the team or not next year, I think that's going to be a motivator for him, knowing that his contract is up. He wants to play to the best of his abilities, and I know the Blues want to do the same regardless. Ryan O'Reilly, an amazing two-way centerman, one of the best in the league in my opinion, 61 points this year. David Perron, in like his third stint at least with the St. Louis Blues, really stepping up with the goal scoring, 25 goals, 60 points. Braden Shen looking awesome, really has been a steal for the St. Louis Blues since being traded there from the Philadelphia Flyers years ago in a really lopsided trade, might I add, but we'll get to that another time. Shen, 25 goals, 58 total points, and Jordan Winnington, whatever you want to call him, he had 30 wins, 2.56 goals on average, and a save percentage of 912. Not bad for your first real season in the NHL, and it wasn't even real because it got cut short. But overall, the St. Louis Blues team is one of, if not the most balanced team in all of the NHL. Truly, they fire on all cylinders. They have such a defensively minded offense that just shuts you down. I love their bottom six. I love all the weapons that they have there, especially whether it's the like of Ivan Barbashev, Sammy Blais, who I'm a big fan of, even though he gets hurt a lot, and other guys. Oscar Sundqvist is awesome. Zach Sanford really stepped up when they needed him to. Tyler Bozak looking really strong in the bottom six role. Just so many great pieces in that Blues lineup, and then their defense. Of course, we all know what happened to Jay Bouwmeester, which was really unfortunate, but I think they're going to rally around that too still, because I'm not forgetting about that. I know the Blues aren't either, and everyone else on that blue line just looks fantastic between Parenko, Dunn, etc. And overall, the Blues want a back-to-back cup. Of course they do, and they are definitely a team that I think is capable of doing it. There aren't many teams I see actually having a realistic shot of winning back-to-back Stanley Cups, but the Blues have the roster to make it happen, and they are going to get Vladimir Tarasenko most likely back for when playoffs start, and that is going to be huge for them. So look out West, look out NHL. The St. Louis Blues are coming for back-to-back cups. But with all those things being said, that's going to conclude this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you dislike this video? I would love to hear all your thoughts. And what teams do you think are the ones that no other team wants to go up against in the NHL? And if it's one of these, let me know what team you think is the most feared upon for sure. Let me know all that in the comments. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. If you like this kind of hockey content, I really appreciate it. And if you haven't checked out my previous videos, I'll have them right down here below for you, so make sure to check them out right after this. With all those things being said again, thank you all so much, and I'll be back in a day or two.